Hello again, YouTube. This is Dr. Kendo, and I'm here with the Scribblenauts Unlimited Object Editor Commentaries. In this series, of course, I create your favorite characters from movies, television shows, gaming, nerd and geek culture kind of stuff, all those types of characters and items. And I just create whatever is most popular or most requested by the most amount of different people each week. So here we go. We're going to start off with a Lifeguard, the female Lifeguard, as today's source object for our creation. A Lifeguard really, in essence, has not much to do with the actual character that we're creating, but that is very common for Scribblenauts Unlimited, or I should say that is not a problem, because we're creating Midna today, and again, on my original point, you can make the source object a male or female type character, even if your original character is not the male or female. You can do, Sonic the Hedgehog could start off as a plumber source object. The source object does not mean that you intend your final creation to be that exact source object's profession or style or anything like that. You pick a source object largely for the torso, but also for some behavioral things and a few other factors which we have probably gotten into multiple times throughout the series and the course of this series, I guess I should say. But I've used a phantom right here. We not only put an ostrich egg on the belly, but now taking the body of a phantom. That's going to be sort of for these like spiky parts of Midna's arms, sort of at the elbow bend, right there. And it's got this color pattern on it. Hopefully you saw where we got that from the color pattern library. And of course, we're keeping on the original Lifeguard legs right now, but I do think that I'm going to change them up in a little bit. First, we'll put that phantom body there on the other side, and we'll complete these arms by typing in Jenny Greenteeth, taking her back arm, and putting that here beneath the phantom after I use this color pattern. It is on the, what page is it? 18th page of the color pattern library, this kind of blue circuity looking pattern. That's more just for the designs and things like that on Midna. And, Midna has all that Twilight princessy hieroglyphic looking, I guess, patterns and whatnot on her. And so we'll also use Jenny Greenteeth, I suppose, for the back leg. We're going to use that on both legs, actually, for Midna. And so just taking the back leg of Jenny Greenteeth, keep the original Lifeguard legs on. The purpose for that is just so that your item won't sink into the ground too much. In this game, if you kind of remove, I guess, the original source object's legs, your object as a whole will sink into the ground a lot more and not be level. So then we're going to go ahead and take a pimple. That's going to be for the belly button right here for our Midna, and move it down, of course, shrink it down way small and move it down here. And fang is going to be for another little design part, I guess. And then we're also going to take this hook kind of end of the kraken. It's very close to the end. It's not the very end of the tentacle, but it's like the next piece over from the end. And really, you can take any of them just as long as it has this curved claw texture to it. And that should do it right there. So we'll go ahead and go into the scripting. Of course, when I do this in my series, there's not a lot of action that's going on screen, so I like to take this opportunity to talk about whatever characters we create, giving a little background information and fun facts. So Midna is, of course, a character from The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. She teams up with Link and shows a cynical side and mischievous behavior throughout the game. But we love her, don't we? The resurgence of Midna these days may come in the wake of The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess's HD remake for Wii U, and with the Wolf Link amiibo, which we can see Midna riding on the back as she does in the game. Let us not forget, however, Midna is a playable character in Hyrule Warriors, of course, but for the Midna fans out there, who knows what's in store for the future, although Aonuma-san said in a Game Informer interview, because of the way Twilight Princess ended, I don't see her making a reappearance, but who knows? If we hear enough voices for her to come back, how can we not? End quote. So maybe, maybe not. But again, she was in Hyrule Warriors. Anyway, just to end off, I'm sure everyone is noticing that we're creating her with the tiny dark creature form and not her transformation in true form. Personally, when I think Midna, this is the character that I know and love anyway, but you'll also notice at some point in the scripting here, I've got her shooting a projectile of lint. This is really up to your interpretation on what you want to use, as surely you could use other projectiles too, but for me it was to represent a concentrated ball of energy. And so just some, I guess, last second details and whatnot before we save and move on to creating the head, which we do create the head and the body separately. We're not only going to want to give Midna a tiny neck with one of the 29-page library arms, but also we're going to take these kraken bended tentacle parts and put those just where on either side of where her neck would be. And so that's just for a little bit more of the design features and whatnot of Midna. So if you've seen a picture of her, she's got those kind of little, I don't know what you would call those, like just bended design, claw claw-like things coming out from either side of her neck, on her shoulder. And so we'll start off with the head as the source object and use a golden egg. That's actually going to be sort of for the main part of the head, or I guess the main part of her face and whatnot, because there's going to be a big, huge portion where I'm taking this knuckle lavy and taking the thigh from the horse, the thigh piece that's in the front from that horse, from the knuckle lavy. And that's going to be one on this side, and then we're going to do another one on the other side, and that's going to be largely for, I guess, a huge portion of the makeup, I guess, of her big headdress helmet. And a dragon fruit is going to represent the hair that's on the back right here. That also, of course, turns into her big hand, the yellowish, orangish hand. And you saw, hopefully, in the scripting as well, after she becomes brave from losing or gaining health, she also shoots a big, giant, yellow, sticky hand. And so that was to represent that. But we took the back shoulder piece of a mecha right now, and that's going to be sort of for some more filling into this helmet headdress piece. And of course, you can see that all of them have this color pattern that is sort of reminiscent of stone and whatnot. So hopefully that's at least what it looks like. It's probably also could be like a metallic computery floor or part. But for me, I think it simulates that stone look really well. And sweet roll is going to be for the kind of curvy parts that are on the very end of it, the little swirl design at the top of the headdress on either side. And of course, you're going to need to shrink them and enlarge them as needed to get them positioned all the way up there off the face. And so now we're typing in bat and just going with the body. Of course, this is the bat animal, not the bat baseball bat. So that's going to be for the part covering her eye right there, but we're also going to use it for the black coloration and stuff over her other eye on the other side. This would be to our left, but to her right. And so there's a little bit of hair creeping out there from underneath the helmet piece. So I typed in hair and painted that black as well. That's going to kind of go where her nose is about to be. But we're also going to use, this is going to be interesting, we're going to use a wolf, and just for the tail piece. So we don't want that body to show up at all for the wolf, but that tail piece right there is just for the ear poking out. And so Midna has these crazy sharp ears with some ridges in them and whatnot, as well as the hieroglyphic-y pattern to them. And so then we'll go with a worm, take the middle part of its body and paint that with this yellowish color. And that's going to be for the main outer part of her eye, I guess. And then for the inner parts, the coloration of her eye, we're going to go ahead and use a dot after we've placed this appropriately. I'm just moving around a few things, but yes, a dot, and we'll color it with this kind of ruby reddish shiny colory pattern right there to get some twinkle in it, as well as I'm also going to use a pimple. The pimple is going to be twofold. We're going to use two of them. One is going to be for the black of the eyes, the iris right there, and so we'll put that in position, but then we're also going to paint one bleach white and make that for a little sparkle in her eye, a twinkle, and actually we'll use another pimple right here for the nose. She does have a cute little nose right there, and let's see, we'll put a smile down for her mouth, and you could make this really wide or you could make it tiny, just depending on what sort of, I guess, expression you want her mouth to be making. You could even turn it upside down if you want to. You know, there's actually a lot of things you could use, because I mean, Midna is very expressive and a little mischievous, of course, and so you can often see one of her fangs kind of sticking out. It's interesting because one kind of sticks out and you can see the other one a little bit in her mouth, but it often doesn't stick out like that if you see pictures of her. You know, just check Google Images, or at the end of my series, at the end of my videos, I should say, I do like to show a comparison image between the real character and the Scribblenauts Unlimited creation. So I just used a goldfish bottom fin for the little fang sticking out, and I used an ivory and hair for the rest of her hair in the back. And so then we're gonna go ahead and, of course, in the scripting, whenever you're creating the head and the body separate, you want to be sure that your head object can be worn on the head like a hat, or in my case, I like to do can be worn on the face like glasses most of the time. So here we go. We made her hovering. You don't have to make her hover, but that is one thing that she can do in the games, of course. And so I made her hovering, and here she is sitting on the back of the wolf link. This is awesome. I love it. And so we'll go ahead and dismount though, and maybe we should have them fight something, of course, but I enjoy too much seeing them right there in their sort of amiibo pose. So okay, we've got an angry, powerful monster right here that we're going to put out onto the field. This is because, of course, I expect the Wolf Link and the Midna both to fight this monster if I can get them positioned correctly, although with ranged characters in this game, I always discuss this whenever I see it happening, but Midna, you could see, accidentally was hitting the Wolf Link with her projectile, and so Wolf Link, yes, is going to be pissed off at her, so we may just actually want to re-put him down on the map just so that they're not angry at each other, and we'll take another enemy. Why not a hostile bull that is strong? And yes, they've made mincemeat of it, so it looks like the enemies that I've put down were no challenge to it, of course. But yes, I am super happy with the creation. I know that a lot of you guys asked for Midna Midna after I created Wolf Link in the last episode, so that's where this Wolf Link comes from. So if anybody is curious and hasn't seen it, please watch the last episode before this one. But hopefully you also saw that I did announce the Patreon page. So Dr. Kendo does have an official Patreon page. That would be patreon.com/DrKendo. That's patreon.com/Dr. Kendo. So please visit it, support if you can do so. There will be a lot of secret added benefits for doing that. But otherwise, you guys rock. Kendopolis is amazing. This is the best community out there. But as always, I will catch you guys on the next vid. And thanks for viewing.
Down the road of twins